Hey there, it's Jean here. So, earlier today, I was just sitting with my thoughts and ended up reflecting on friendships. Some of them kind of drift away, right? Then there are those people who just stick around no matter what, and then how those connections don't always look the same for everyone. So, that got me wondering if friendships really have to change as we do. Like how we change ourselves through time. So, does that mean our friendships also change the same as we do? And as I thought about that, I found myself considering those faded ties, or more like the expired friendships, you know what I mean? And then there are those core friends who stayed with us and all the little dynamics that come with it all. So I guess this episode I'm going to be tackling those three three topics: the one that the expired friendships, or the faded ties, and then those core people around us, and the relationship dynamics we have with our friends. So yeah, let me share what came up for me. I guess let's start with something that still lingers in the back of my mind sometimes: those friendships that just quietly faded out. So there's this one friendship I still think about from time to time. We weren't super close or anything, but there was enough of a bond that when things faded, it kind of stung, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure it triggered the shift. I felt short on a few things, tried my best to make it up for it, but yeah, still failed her expectations more than a few times. So yeah, I guess the distance that grew between us, it was just, it was inevitable. It was bound to happen. But what really made it clear, or what made it confirm that the friendship was over, was when I realized she had removed me from all social media platforms we were connected to. No hint, no blocking, just she just quietly removed me from everything. I haven't been that active in all my social media for the past couple of years, so I wasn't really aware at first that, you know, she unfriended me, or like she removed me from her following. I only noticed when I tried to look her up before posting something and her name is gone. That was the moment that it hit me that we weren't friends anymore, just people who used to know each other. Yeah, it hurts. But honestly, I felt a weird of mix of guilt and relief. Guilt because I felt responsible for how things turned out between us, and then relief at the same time because she made the move first, like actually, like slowly or silently removing me in a way from her life. I don't know. That just how I view it, or that's just how I felt. She drew a line I didn't know how to draw, and in a way, it spared me from the awkwardness of wondering or like where we stood with each other, or second guessing what I could openly share online. You have to admit it that at times there are people in our friends list that we do not want to see our activities. Like, we don't want to be too open about our lives to some very few people. I guess that's the reason why Instagram have this close friends list, because the platform, or the management of that platform, acknowledged that it's that we may have friends who are more like acquaintances or not super close, and there are intimate moments that we want to share online, but not necessarily broadcast it to everyone, like literally everyone. So yeah. But don't get me wrong, because up to this day, I'm still very grateful for all the things she had done for me. I would always be grateful for that. She was thoughtful, That's the kind of persona that she evoked, or like that's how I view her. She's a very thoughtful person. Remind she she knows some stuff that I do. She's very observant, and she has this motherly vibe in a weird way. I said it's a weird way because our age gap is not that big. She's only a few years older than I am, and it feels weird to have this motherly bonding or motherly vibe that I feel from her. But yeah, the gesture that she made for me, I would never ever forget it in my whole life. That's that's the fact, and I will always feel a bit indebted to her for that. I still wonder how she's doing now and then, but I haven't tried to reconnect. I'm not sure, but yeah, at this moment in time, I haven't tried to reconnect. I guess, or I think part of me was just wants to respect the boundary she created. And maybe that was the closure I didn't know I needed. That experience made me think about the opposite end of the spectrum too. Like, the friendships that stuck around. The people who quietly stayed in our lives. So that first story got me thinking. I didn't have any real close friends at my job, which maybe explains why I felt a bit disconnected or not that happy. Most of the interactions were just about work, which is normal, of course, don't get me wrong, but yeah, nothing deeper. But there was one colleague who stood out actually. We weren't that close, but those were moments but there were moments that she would come over to my area, to my desk, just to talk about random things. I honestly didn't expect we would click. Because she's a bit social, you know, kind of has this elite vibe, which isn't really my vibe, but we somehow had a good dynamic. Still, I'd say it was more of a level 3 friendship. Like, I was comfortable around her, but not someone I'd fully open up to. Then, my train of thoughts led me to thinking about my legit close friends from my first job. It's one of I had two from that job. So this one of them, she's super thoughtful. Like, I guess she's the sweetest person I've ever known so far. And even if we don't talk for months, she still checks in on me and our other friend. And she would always try to meet up. She would make an effort to meet up with me when she's free, even with her hectic schedule. She usually goes out of town with her partner for their business. But yeah, whenever she has the time to drop by around my place, she would um, do that for me, which I truly appreciate. And I really admire her for that. I really admired her consistency throughout the years. She stayed the same. She's not, she's not um, someone who boasts her achievements, who brags about achievements, or I don't know. That's how I just know her. And it's honestly pretty rare to meet someone who actually makes that kind of effort. She's a living proof for me that friendships that bloomed from work can actually last longer even after the job ends. It also made me think about who my core people really are. So I did a mental list, and surprisingly, I could name around 10 to 15. I used to think I only had few, but when I look back at people I had genuine connections with, I realized there were more. Yeah. There are close friends that I haven't really talked to regularly, but all of them are dear to me, special to me. They're all important to me, in one way or another. Some of them I haven't spoken to in years, and while I'm aware that things might have changed, I know I'd still treat them the same when we meet again. I tend to hold that version of them from when we last felt close. It really, I mean, I don't, well, people change, but I feel like the way I view them is the same way I mean, the way I treat them is the same way I would treat them the last time I saw them. Of course, I don't expect everything to be exactly the same, but also I just don't stop caring just because life got busy, you know? But obviously, we have different priorities in life. From we 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 undergo changes in our life. We have phases in life. Our priorities change. Our time, our commitment can change. So we do have to consider that as well when nurturing relationships with our friends. And yeah, I know friendships need effort to nurture it. But yeah, I'm also guilty of not actively communicating as much. As I mentioned, I haven't been that active online. Not because I'm just undergoing detox, but I haven't been very active online for years, for the past couple of years. Not yet a decade, but like maybe 5 years. Yeah, especially now that I'm maintaining a low key, almost invisible presence because of everything going on in my life right now. But I do hope that they would understand and not totally forget about me too. Once I get once I get past this dark phase I'm in, I would really like to reconnect with them properly soon, soon. But even if I've been quiet, I still cherish the moments I've shared with them. And honestly, I'm just looking forward to the time I could um, properly catch up with them again. Soon, I really hope to find little ways to nurture those friendships again. And the reason why is because they're not just memories for me. Those friendships helped shape me through the years, so I can't forget them. Like we have this different version of ourselves to show different version of ourselves to different people we have in our life. So the different friendships that we have, they might not be the same personas, but they represent some kind of version of ourselves too. It's like kind of a reflection of who we are, or like a partial identity. Our partial identity kind of connected to who they are too. And while I was thinking about all of this, the ones or the friendships that faded and the ones who stayed, it also got me reflecting on how the dynamics of friendship shift over time. I think one of the biggest thing that hit me as I got older is how relationship dynamics aren't as straightforward as I used to think. I think that kind of shift naturally comes with age. Maybe that's something we all go through, like slowly realizing that people don't always hold each other in the same way. I remember back in high school, I had this friend. Well, she's still my best friend up to this day, and I saw her as my number one person. I felt closest to her, told her everything, and she was always the first one I'd go to when I had something to share or just, needed someone. But when we ended up in different classes at the time, she got really close to other people. She's a very friendly person, and so that's not something to be, you know, to be shocked about, to be surprised about. But um, I'm guilty of starting to feel. I started feeling jealous, and I really hate that feeling back then. I felt a bit left out, maybe even replaced, and yeah, it hurt. But even though she didn't really do anything wrong, yeah, it was all about me. It's not her, it's me. At the time, it felt like a betrayal. I didn't get how someone I cared so much could just, turn their turn their focus, their attention to other people so easily. Just like. But now looking back, I get it. I understand it already. It's not always about loyalty or betrayal. Sometimes it's just about proximity, the people close to us, or timing, or even personal growth. We all change, and the way we connect with people changes too. I think that was one of the first lessons I had in realizing that just because someone is important to you doesn't mean you hold the same importance in their life. And yeah, it can sting, especially when you feel like you've invested so much emotionally, but it's also a reminder that friendships aren't always as balanced as the way we expect them to be. We often think friendship should be equal. It should be fair. Like, if I see you as my close friend, then you should see me the same way. But it doesn't always work like that. We all have our own lens when it comes to friendships, and closeness can mean totally different things to different people. So, some would want to or would prefer to have regular check-ins, and they would get hurt if if you don't have or if you don't reply as much, while others are perfectly fine not talking for weeks or even months, maybe years even, and still just feel as close when you finally catch up. And I guess over time I started to see that friendships, like any relationship, need some sort of mutual effort. It takes both people showing up to keep it going. It can't always be one-sided. What I mean is sometimes it can be one-sided. The other person is working hard to maintain it, while the other is not as responsive, because we all go through phases in life. There are times I do understand that, because I myself went through that, where I didn't talk as much to even to the closest friend or even to the closest people around me. I didn't reply to their messages because I was just feeling lethargic. I was just feeling down so much. And then I just snapped back to reality and just talked to them again. So yeah, that's why I said it can always be one-sided. Of course, there should be some sort of give and take too, even if the dynamic looks different from one friendship to another. Of course, some friendships do end. Sometimes it's a slow drift, really subtle. Other times it's more sudden, like snap of a finger. It's over. But yeah, that can hurt, especially if it's someone you thought who would always be there, no matter what. And other times life just takes us in different directions, but that doesn't mean that the friendship wasn't real. It just means it served its purpose already in the chapter of our life. And I think that's the beauty and the pain of friendships. They evolve. Some stay, some leave. It's okay, that's fine. But every one of them teaches us a bit more about ourselves, about others, and about what kind of connections we truly want to keep moving forward. So, yeah, those were some of the thoughts that surfaced today, and maybe they stirred something in you too. Alright, that's it for me. That's it for this one. If any part of this got you thinking about your friendships, or if you've had a faded tie moment, or started seeing certain people a little differently, feel free to share your thoughts if you're up for it. I'd honestly love to hear about it. I'm just here navigating this space like you. And if you're into these kinds of reflections, maybe follow the podcast or pass this episode along to someone who might relate. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.